Hello and welcome to another Insider English video, the main topic on using some and using any with differences that you may not be aware of. As for modality, what you're getting with my explanations for my ebook are things that you would otherwise not find in mainstream books, specifically for English teachers, but also interesting, I'm sure, for independent, intermediate, and above level English learners. So what is modality anyway, if it isn't an indirect way of formulating an imperative? The imperative would be, here, take my pen. If, for example, the pen doesn't work on somebody else's pen, you want to give them the pen. But you could also formulate it, would you like to borrow my pen? Would you like my pen? It's not a question in the sense that you don't expect an answer, you just hand over the pen. In any case, there are many ways of being polite, and so we use this backshifting for politeness, we use the modality, and longer sentences in general. So we also use words like just or a few here in this sentence. There might just be a few minor issues we need to address. In the next example, I'm not an expert, but you might want to try rebooting your PC. A clause preceding the directive prepares the receiver for the obvious. Polite formulations in English involves being indirect, since it shows a degree of politeness, and not to mention intonation and intention work behind the words. And the fact that the speaker will tend to use longer strings of words, whether it be a question or a statement. So that's more or less it. Now, in our main topic today about some and any, we'll also see that to some extent, but it's really going to be more a case of simplification. Getting an insider look at any word is more important than memorizing rules, because once you grasp the underlying meanings behind a word and its common uses in a given context, you will be better able to determine the rightful usage. Examples here, but there are three main dangers we come across when we look at the standard way of learning something. Invariably be told some is used with positive and negative statements, but does that really help? Generalizations, vagaries, restrictiveness, not to mention another aspect, which is balancing the other half of the brain. I use that, of course, in the sense that we're using different parts of our brain for memorizing different things, apparently. But the more we do this, filling our brains, the less fluent we actually become. This is my idea. Let me know if you're a neurologist and you have another theory about that. But I often experience students distracted and they have distortions and they have a lot of questions. How do we learn English? How do we do this? And it's always a question. What is the best strategies? But the more you fill your brain with rules and the exceptions, you will also then dilute fluency, if I can call it that. So first of all, I bet you were never told that some and any are actually optional words. Oftentimes they serve as rhythmic fillers, often to replace a zero article. A zero article means a word like a noun that you will not need an article, either because it's plural or because it's non-count. Liquids like milk are uncountable generally, and remember, uncountable means not that we don't count it, but we don't want to count it. We don't need to count it. There's some milk, or there's milk. We have some milk, meaning a little bit left over. Have we got any milk? Have we got some milk? Or have we got milk? All of those are possible. Any simply means I don't think we have any left. Whereas some, if I say, have we got some milk, it's because I think we should still have a little left over. From this perspective, you're understanding more the lexical meanings behind these words. You were most likely taught some can be employed for both countable and uncountable things. However, how does that rule actually help? the learner. It only serves to be vague or general. And you're not told that some can actually also be used in questions like, would you like some of mine? You're offering some. Of course, in requests, would you like some bread, some more coffee, whatever. Some is used for offers. Lexically speaking, they replace longer phrases, and so they are actually an aspect of simplification. What I mean by longer phrases, I list further down, so we'll have a look. But some, for example, means a bit, a few pieces, a small amount, an unspecified or unknown amount, or quantity. Some is interchangeable with one or this, meaning unknown or of no importance. So some guy told me the other day, you can understand what some guy means. It doesn't matter who, it just means someone. Okay, moving on. Some can be used to convey that something is notable or significant. So, which is actually quite the contrary to what we looked at here of no importance. Here it now means something significant in quantity or quality. It can also be something challenging, long, difficult, or exceptional, or worthy of comment. Looking at that hat on the right, that's some hat she's wearing. Of course, it could be used ironically or sarcastically, but it does mean a substantially large hat in this case. To some degree or extent, some is vague, moderate or mild intensity, as is somewhat. Now, somewhat can mean rather or a bit, so also has actually contradictory almost definitions or uses. We also have the word some in these words here. Note that the affix some means characterized by or tending to, or ish. It can also represent a group or body, in these particular terms, more biological perhaps. Any, moving on to any, one of several choices. It means not some, or sometimes it means some. Whichever, of no importance again. Unknown can replace the expression at all, in the least, to an extent, etc. Here, any is a pronoun, singular or plural. As with all meaningful communication, there are always four main factors that take precedence over which lexical item a word may be labeled. And the four are context, intent, emotion, and opinion. So contextual, there are two examples. Have we got some milk? In our minds, in our intention, we're thinking, when I last looked, we did have some. In the second example, do we have any milk left? Means, I believe we ran out. And the third example here, do we have milk? You could insert some or any, though it's not really necessary. But if we're taking it out, it just means, what's the fact? What's the situation? Then there's the emotional aspect, which is also something that's always taken out of the grammar. I hope there is some milk left. I was hoping there was. And so you have the emotion behind it. Any could also involve emotion. I fear there isn't anything to worry about. Intentions are important. Do you want some milk? Not do you want any milk? If I say, do you want any milk? It means I'm assuming you don't want any. And so the intention behind the statement is important. For expressing doubt, if not some other intention, it can only be clear from the context again. And finally, the last is opinionated. We have an opinion about everything, and that's great. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. These are 3 pages from my ebook. These videos I'm putting out are a way of inciting you to discover some new things about English that you may not have known. So thanks for joining me, and see you in another video. Bye now.